When I heard our entertainment reporter sat down with these two actor comedians, I knew he had a blast. Jim Ferguson interviewed both Steve Martin and Chris Tucker. I feel like you wouldn't get anything accomplished in that interview.
Well, they're going to enjoy this interview because they were wonderful. But today's movie is Billy,
Lynn,
Long,
Time,
Halftime, Walk. Okay, that's a long title.
It's a long title.
Directed by one of the best, Ang Lee, and it's the story of a 19-year-old soldier from Texas who goes to Iraq and with his unit, the Bravos, they become heroes.
Oh, I did see the previews.
And they come back to do a tour, and they go to the Dallas Cowboys football game. And at the halftime, he experiences flashbacks of what happened to him in Iraq. Beautiful story. Joe Alwyn plays the young man, Billy Lynn, and it's his first film debut. And he's from England. Beautiful casting, though. And his sister is played by Kristen Stewart. We're going to have them both on Friday. We'll talk about that. But now, Steve Martin plays the owner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Jerry Jones, okay? And he's obnoxious like the real Jerry Jones. And Chris Tucker plays a Hollywood producer trying to get a movie made of these young men who are heroes. So here's Chris and Steve.
At the screening last night, I was sitting there with the glasses on watching a new technology that's 4K that Ang shot it in, and I felt like at times I was there in your war room. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. I had the feeling too. We saw it a couple of nights before, and I really had that feeling of being involved in the scene, even scenes I was in. I thought, I'm actually in this.
Yeah. Now, Steve, of course, you're from Texas. Isn't it true? It's God, family, and football. And
that's what I've heard. Once I don't want to take your time, but once I was screening a movie in the 80s in Texas, and it was on a Friday night, and I'm used to going to, it was just a small theater, and I said, where's all the people? You know, we fill this up usually. And they said, Friday night is high school football.
High school football, yeah. Chris, you play Arnold. Of course, he's a Hollywood film promoter, and he's following these soldiers that just came back from Iraq called Bravo. Yeah. He's trying to set up a movie deal with him.
Yeah.
With the owner of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Tough kind of.
tough guy. Yeah, and he feels for these guys. He kind of relate to them too, because the way I played him, he's kind of a struggling guy trying to get into the business, also trying to get that big story, trying to sell that big deal, make that big deal. So he really was sincere, and he really cared about the guys and got to know them and got to start caring about them.
I actually felt your character, when they were sad, you were sad.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And you both had something in common, and you touched on it a little bit, is that you admired these guys, and you felt for them. And I thought your character, even though a tough businessman, really was sincere about the way he felt, and the fact that they were guests of his at his house.
Right. Yeah. I love those lines toward the end. He says, when they say, you don't like us very much, I say, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I admire you. I love you. I wish I could have had your experience to be tested like you, which is a weird thing to say, actually. But
Chris, working with Ang Lee, good learning experience for an actor?
Oh yeah. He was great, and the way he worked with me, and the way he knew what he wanted, and he was doing something new and breaking the ground, historical stuff. What he's doing, through telling a story, putting you in Billy, the character's head, following him around through war, through his relationship, through his family. It was great.
Fun on set with those guys?
It was
They were always
great.
screwing around.
they were really fun.
They were really
fun guys.
Yeah, they were.
Steve, a little bit of Jerry Jones?
I honestly had only heard the name Jerry Jones. I didn't really know who he was, or I'd never seen a picture of him. I didn't base anything on Jerry Jones at all, but I did kind of pastiche certain people I've known in my life, and I have been around sports executives, and so I had a little of that image, but I really didn't know who Jerry Jones was.
Well, I do.
You just
I
said
do.
It right
I
now.
know about Jerry Jones, and your character is a much nicer guy.
Okay, yeah, oh, that's scary.
Oh, I should put that.
You can edit it.
You see the firework explosions behind them in the background. Of course, that's crucial to the movie because that's the halftime show.
Right.
And what does the kid think? who just
Yeah,
got back
that's
from
what
Iraq, the
causes him to have
explosions
those
and everything, which
flashbacks.
sets him off. You know, it's a beautiful story. I really enjoyed the film. I'll review it on Friday when we have Joe Alwyn, the young man who plays Billy Lynn, and his sister, beautifully played by Kristen Stewart.
What an interesting cast, all the way from Steve Martin to her. I think that it's covering a wide variety of what we know them for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Kristen surprised me in this role. She plays a sister that loves her brother and does not want him to go back to Iraq. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to
understandably,
see what you review and to hear from both of them. Thank you, Jim, as always.
Well, thank you, Tina. It's a pleasure, and I'm glad you enjoyed my interview with 2 generations of comedians there. Yeah.
It was 2 generations. And you can also watch even more of Jim's celebrity interviews by visiting TucsonMorningBlend.com and just search for Hollywood Happenings.